The ship landed softly on the white stone platform. Kang Daeho looked through the window and saw a palace so big that it touched the clouds. The walls were made of something that looked like glass and gold mixed together. It was beautiful. It was also terrifying. Ember said Yoon Hana from beside him, "Smile, bow, and don't touch anything." Daeho nodded. He was 32 years old. He had been a soldier once, then a medic, and now he was a diplomat. Earth had sent him here to make friends with the Volari Empire. The Volari were one of the oldest races in the galaxy. They had ships that could cross star systems in hours. They had weapons that could destroy moons, and they thought humans were nothing more than clever animals. The door of the ship opened. Warm air rushed in. It smelled like flowers and metal. Daeho stepped out first, followed by Hana and 3 other members of their small team. A group of Volari soldiers stood waiting for them. They were tall, almost 7 feet, with pale blue skin and silver eyes. Their faces showed no emotion. Their armor was white and fitted perfectly to their bodies. They looked like statues that had learned to walk. One of them stepped forward. He was older than the others, with deep lines on his face and a mark on his chest that showed high rank. "I am High Commander Theron," he said. His voice was cold. "You will follow me. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not wander. Do not touch the royal family or address them directly. Break these rules and you will be removed." "We understand. Thank you for receiving us." Theron looked at him for a long moment. His silver eyes were hard and empty. Then he turned and walked toward the palace. The human team followed. The inside of the palace was even more impressive than the outside. The floors were smooth as mirrors. The ceilings were so high that Daeho could not see where they ended. Strange plants grew along the walls, glowing with soft light. Everywhere he looked, there were Volari nobles in fine clothes. They all stopped and stared as the humans walked past. Daeho heard whispers. He did not understand the language, but he understood the tone. It was the same tone people used when they saw insects in their food. Hana walked close to him. "They really don't like us, do they?" "We're new," Daeho whispered back. "Give them time. Time won't fix the way that guy is looking at you." She nodded toward a noble who was watching them with open disgust. Daeho said nothing. He just kept walking. They were taken to a set of rooms far from the main palace. The rooms were clean but simple. There were no decorations, no windows, and only basic furniture. It was clear that this was where unwanted guests were kept. "You will stay here," Theron said. "Food will be brought to you. You are not permitted to leave these rooms without an escort. The formal audience with the Queen will be in 3 days." "3 days?" Hana said. "We were told it would be tomorrow." Iran's eyes narrowed. "The Queen is busy. You will wait." He left without another word. The door closed behind him with a heavy sound. Hana let out a long breath. "Well, that went great." Daeho sat down on one of the hard chairs. "It could have been worse." "How?" "They could have shot us." Hana laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Give them time." The 3 days passed slowly. Daeho spent most of his time reading reports about the Volari, trying to understand their culture. They valued strength, discipline, and logic. Emotion was seen as weakness. Children were raised in isolation, away from their parents, so they would not develop unhealthy attachments. Love, as humans understood it, did not exist in their society. It made Daeho sad. He could not imagine growing up without his mother's hugs or his father's laughter. He could not imagine being alone. On the 3rd day, they were finally taken to the throne room for their audience with Queen Alara. The throne room was the largest space Daeho had ever seen. Thousands of Volari nobles filled the hall, standing in perfect rows. At the far end, on a throne made of white crystal, sat the Queen. Queen Alara was beautiful in a cold way. Her skin was pale blue like all Volari, but her eyes were darker, almost purple. She wore a crown of silver that seemed to float above her head. Her face showed nothing, no curiosity, no interest, no warmth. Daeho and his team walked forward and stopped at the proper distance. They bowed deeply. "You may rise," the Queen said. Her voice echoed through the hall. "So you are the humans." "Yes, Your Majesty," Deho said. "We are honored to be here. Earth wishes to build a friendship with the Valari Empire." "Friendship." The Queen said the word like it was strange to her. "You're a young species. You have only just learned to leave your own planet. What could you possibly offer us?" Deho felt the weight of thousands of eyes on him. He kept his voice steady. "We offer our willingness to learn, our desire for peace, our hope that different species can work together for a better future." A soft sound moved through the crowd. It might have been laughter. The Queen tilted her head slightly. Hope, desire, willingness. These are words of emotion, not substance. The Valari do not make decisions based on feelings. "Perhaps that is something we could teach each other," Deho said carefully. "You could teach us your wisdom. We could share our perspective." The Queen's eyes stayed cold. "We will consider your request. You are dismissed." That was it. The audience was over. As they turned to leave, Deho noticed something. Behind one of the tall pillars near the throne, there was a small figure watching. It was a girl with pale blue skin and large, curious eyes. She was half hidden, as if she knew she was not supposed to be there. She was looking directly at Deho, without thinking. He gave her a small wave. Just a tiny movement of his hand. The girl's eyes went wide. She looked surprised, maybe even scared. But she did not look away. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then a guard moved, blocking her from view. When the guard stepped away, the girl was gone. Hannah touched his arm. "What are you looking at?" "Nothing," Deho said. But he kept thinking about those eyes. So curious. So lonely. That night, Deho could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Queen's cold words and the even colder looks from the nobles. He was starting to wonder if this mission was hopeless. Around midnight, he heard a soft sound outside his door. He got up and opened it carefully. There was no one there. But on the floor, there was a small flower. It was white with silver edges, and it glowed faintly in the dark. He picked it up. It was the most beautiful flower he had ever seen. The next morning, he asked one of the guards about it. The guard looked at the flower and frowned. "This is a Valari bloom," the guard said. "It is a gift that Valari children give when they are curious about someone. But no child would dare give this to a human." Deho looked at the flower in his hand. He thought about the little girl behind the pillar. He smiled, maybe. This mission was not so hopeless after all. In the days that followed, Deho began to notice something strange. Wherever he went in the palace, he felt like someone was watching him. Not the guards, who watched everyone. Not the nobles who looked at him with disgust. This feeling was different. It was softer. More curious. He first saw her again in the gardens. The palace gardens were one of the few places humans were allowed to visit. They were filled with strange plants from 100 different worlds. Flowers that sang. Trees that moved their branches like arms. Pools of water that glowed different colors depending on the time of day. Deho liked to walk there in the early morning when few others were around. It helped him think. It helped him feel less like a prisoner. On the fourth morning, he saw the girl again. She was standing behind a tree with silver leaves. Only half of her face was visible. Her large eyes watched him with a mix of fear and fascination. She was small, maybe 7 or 8 years old by human standards. She wore a simple white dress, but there was a golden mark on her shoulder. The royal mark. This was Princess Vela, the Queen's only daughter. Deho stopped walking. He did not want to scare her. Slowly, carefully, he sat down on a nearby stone bench. He did not look directly at her. He just sat there, looking at the flowers. For a long time, nothing happened. Then he heard soft footsteps. When he glanced to the side, he saw that she had moved a little closer. She was now standing behind a smaller bush, still watching. Deho smiled, but did not turn his head. "The blue flowers are my favorite," he said softly, as if talking to himself. "They remind me of the sky on my planet." The footsteps stopped. He could feel her listening. "On Earth," he continued, "we have a sky that turns orange and pink when the sun goes down. It's very beautiful. I miss it sometimes." He waited. The silence stretched on. Then, very quietly, he heard a small voice. "What is missing?" Daeho's heart jumped. He turned slowly to look at her. She was closer now, maybe 10 feet away. Her eyes were wide and curious. "Missing," he said gently, "is when you want something or someone that is not with you. It makes you feel a little sad, but also grateful that you have something worth missing." The princess stared at him. Her face was confused. Sad and grateful? At the same time? Yes, humans often feel many things at once. It can be complicated. She seemed to think about this. Then, without warning, she turned and ran away. In seconds, she was gone. Daeho sat alone in the garden. He wondered if he had scared her. He wondered if he would ever see her again. But the next morning, she was there. In the morning after that, each day she came a little closer. Each day, she stayed a little longer. She never spoke much, just a word or two, but she listened. She listened to everything Daeho said. He told her about Earth, about oceans and mountains, about cities filled with millions of people, about families who lived together and ate together and laughed together. She seemed amazed by all of it. "Family," she said one day. "They touch you." "Yes," Daeho said. "My mother used to hug me every day. My father would pat my head when I did something good."
What is hug?
The question hit Daeho like a punch to the chest. He had to take a breath before answering. "A hug," he said slowly, "is when you put your arms around someone and hold them close. It means you care about them. It makes both people feel warm and safe." Vila's eyes were wide. "No one has ever done this to me." Daeho did not know what to say. He thought about this tiny princess growing up in a palace filled with thousands of people and never once being held, never being told she was loved. The thought broke his heart. That night he talked to Hannah about it. "You need to be careful," Hannah said. Her face was serious. "She's the princess. If anyone finds out you've been talking to her, they'll throw you out. Or worse." "I know," Daeho said, "but she's just a child, a lonely child. She's also the daughter of a queen who could destroy our entire planet if she wanted to." Daeho was quiet for a moment. "I can't just ignore her, Hannah. You didn't see her eyes. She's never known kindness, not once in her entire life." Hannah sighed. "Just be careful, please." But Daeho could not stop. Every morning, he went to the garden. Every morning, Vila was there. 1 week later, something happened that changed everything. Daeho was walking through a quiet hallway when he heard a small cry. He ran toward the sound and found Vila on the ground. She had tripped on the smooth floor and fallen hard. Her hands were scraped and bleeding. Pale blue blood dripped onto the white stone. There were no guards nearby. No servants. She was completely alone. Daeho did not hesitate. He knelt down beside her. "Let me see," he said softly. Vila looked up at him with tears in her eyes. She was trying not to cry, but her small body was shaking. Daeho took out a small cloth he always carried. Gently, very gently, he took her hands and began to clean the wounds. He worked slowly and carefully, talking to her in a calm voice. "You're going to be okay," he said. "These are just small cuts. They'll heal in a few days." "It hurts," she whispered. "I know, but the pain will stop soon." "You're very brave." She looked at him with wonder. You were touching me. Is that okay?" She nodded slowly. "It feels warm." He finished cleaning her wounds and wrapped the cloth around her hands. When he was done, he smiled at her. "They're all better." Bella stared at her bandaged hands. Then she looked up at him. "Why did you help me?" "Because you were hurt." "And because I care about you, you care about me?" She said it like she did not understand the words. "Yes, but I am Valari. You are human. We are different." Daeho shook his head. "It doesn't matter if we're different. Kindness doesn't care about species. It doesn't care about planets or empires. Kindness is just kindness. It's for everyone." Vela was quiet for a long moment. Then, very softly, She said something that Daeho would never forget. Why are you warm? He did not understand at first. What do you mean? Everyone else is cold. The guards. The teachers. My mother. They are all cold. But you are warm. Your hands? Your voice? Your eyes? Everything about you is warm. She paused. Why? Daeho felt tears forming in his own eyes. He blinked them away. Maybe, he said softly, being warm is what it means to be human. Footsteps echoed in the distance. Vila's eyes went wide with fear. Go, Daeho said quickly. I'll stay here. No one will know. She hesitated for just a second. Then she ran. As she disappeared around the corner, Daeho noticed something on the floor. A small bracelet made of silver thread. It must have fallen from her wrist. He picked it up and put it in his pocket. He would find a way to return it somehow. Would find a way. The diplomatic meetings were not going well. Every day, Daeho and his team sat in a cold room with Valari officials. Every day, they tried to explain why humanity deserved a place in the galactic community. And every day, they were met with the same cold rejection. Your species is too young, the officials said. You have no technology worth sharing. You have no resources we need. You have nothing to offer. We offer friendship, Daeho said. We offer cooperation. We offer a new perspective. The officials looked at him like he was speaking nonsense. Friendship is not a resource. Perspective is not a weapon. In the galaxy, only power matters. It was frustrating. It was exhausting. And it was starting to feel hopeless. But even as the days grew harder, Daeho found comfort in his morning meetings with Vela. She came to the garden every day now. She no longer hid behind trees. She sat right next to him on the bench, her small legs swinging as she listened to his stories. He taught her how to make paper cranes. At first, she did not understand why anyone would fold paper into the shape of a bird. But when she finished her first one, her eyes lit up with joy. It's beautiful, she whispered. You made it, Daeho said. That makes it special. She held the paper crane like it was the most precious thing in the world. He also gave her small gifts. A piece of chocolate which she had never tasted. A drawing of Earth's blue oceans. A small stone from his home country that his mother had given him before he left. I can't take this, Vela said, looking at the stone. It's from your mother, so I want you to have it, Daeho said. So you'll know that someone cares about you, even when I'm not here. Vela clutched the stone to her chest. For a moment, she looked like she might cry, but their secret could not last forever. One afternoon, Daeho was called to a private meeting, not with the officials, not with the guards. With Queen Alara herself, he was taken to a small room deep inside the palace. The queen was already there, sitting in a chair that seemed too simple for someone of her status. Her purple eyes watched him as he entered. Sit, she said. Daeho sat. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the queen said, You have been spending time with my daughter. It was not a question. Daeho felt his blood go cold. I have seen you in the gardens, the queen continued. I have seen her following you like a lost animal. I have seen the things you give her. The paper shapes. The food. The stone. Daeho's heart was pounding, but he kept his face calm. She is a child. A lonely child. I only wanted to show her kindness. Kindness, the queen said the word slowly, like she was tasting it. You humans use that word often. What does it mean to you? It means treating others with care. It means seeing their pain and trying to ease it. It means making someone feel less alone. The queen was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. My daughter has never smiled. Not once in her 8 years of life. I thought it was normal. I thought it was proper. She paused. But lately, she has been different. She laughs sometimes. She sings to herself. She folds paper into strange shapes and keeps them under her pillow. Daeho did not know what to say. You did this, the queen said. You, a primitive human from a backward planet, you made my daughter smile. I just treated her like a person, Daeho said quietly. Like someone who matters. She's the heir to the greatest empire in the galaxy. Of course, she matters. That's not what I mean. Daeho leaned forward slightly. She matters not because of her title. She matters because she exists. Because she has feelings and dreams and fears. Because she deserves to be loved, not just respected. The queen stared at him. Something flickered in her eyes, something Daeho could not read. You speak strangely, she said at last. Your words make no logical sense. And yet, they feel true. She stood up and walked to the window. For a long time, she looked out at the palace grounds. The council meets tomorrow, she said. They will decide whether to accept humanity into the galactic community or to send you away forever. High Commander Theron has been arguing strongly against you. He says humans are too emotional, too unstable, too dangerous. What do you say? Daeho asked. The queen turned to face him. I say nothing. A queen must be neutral until the final vote. But I will allow you to speak before the council. To make your case one last time. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. Her eyes were hard again. If you fail to convince them, you will be sent back to Earth, and my daughter will never see you again. Ho nodded. I understand. He turned to leave, but the queen's voice stopped him. Human, what you have done with my daughter. Some would call it manipulation. Some would say you are using her to gain favor with the crown. Daeho faced her. And what do you call it? The queen was silent for a moment. I call it something I do not understand, but I want to. That night, Daeho could not sleep. He walked to the garden one more time, even though it was late and he was not supposed to be there. To his surprise, Vila was waiting for him. I heard you talk to my mother, she said. Her small face was worried. Yes. Are you in trouble? Maybe, I don't know yet. Vila looked down at her feet. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I should have stayed away from you. Daeho knelt down so he was at her eye level. Listen to me, Vila. Nothing that has happened is your fault. You did nothing wrong. You were just being a child. A curious, wonderful child. But if they send you away, then I will be sad. But I will also be happy. Because I met you. Because I got to see you smile. That is worth more than any trouble. Vila's eyes filled with tears. Why do you care about me so much? I'm not even human. Ho smiled. Kindness isn't about species. It's a choice. And I choose to care about you. I always will. Vila threw her arms around his neck. It was awkward and clumsy. She had never hugged anyone before. But Daeho hugged her back gently. And for a moment, everything was perfect. I wish you were my father, she whispered. Daeho felt his heart break and heal at the same time. I wish I could be, he said. But no matter what happens, I will always be your friend. She pulled back and looked at him with determination. Then I will help you. Tomorrow at the council meeting, I will help you make them understand. Vela, no? It's too dangerous. I'm not scared, she said. You taught me that. You've taught me to be brave. Daeho looked at her small, fierce face. He saw the loneliness that had once filled her eyes. It was still there, but it was mixed with something new now. Hope. Okay, he said softly. We'll face it together. The Grand Council Hall was filled with thousands of Volari. Nobles from every corner of the Empire had come to witness this moment. Ambassadors from dozens of alien races sat in special sections watching with curious eyes. The air was thick with tension. Daeho stood alone in the center of the hall. He felt very small. The ceiling was so high above him that it disappeared into shadows. The crystal walls reflected his image 1,000 times. Showing him just how alone he truly was, Queen Alara sat on her throne at the far end of the hall. Her face showed nothing. Beside her, in a smaller chair, sat Princess Vela. The child's hands were folded in her lap, and she stared straight ahead. But Daeho noticed her fingers were shaking. High Commander Theron stood before the assembly. His voice echoed through the hall like thunder. Today we decide the fate of humanity, he announced. These creatures from the planet called Earth wish to join our galactic community. They wish to share in our technology, our trade, our protection. He paused and looked at Daeho with cold eyes. But what do they offer in return? Nothing. They have no advanced weapons. They have no valuable resources. They have only their emotions, their chaos, their weakness, their dangerous unpredictability. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Theron continued. I have studied these humans. I have watched their representative closely. And I have found something deeply troubling. He pointed at Deho. This man has been secretly meeting with the princess. He has been filling her mind with human ideas. He has been corrupting the heir to our throne. The murmur became a roar. Nobles shouted in anger. Guards stepped forward, their hands on their weapons. Even the ambassadors from other races looked shocked. Deho felt his heart racing, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had expected this. He had prepared for it. Is this true? Queen Alara's voice cut through the noise. The hall fell silent instantly. Deho bowed his head. It is true that I have spoken with the princess, but I have not corrupted her. I have only shown her kindness. Kindness. Theron spat the word like poison. You call it kindness. I call it manipulation. You used a lonely child to gain access to the royal family. You played on her emotions to serve your own purposes. That is not true. Then explain yourself, human. Explain why you spent weeks meeting with the princess in secret. Explain why you gave her gifts. Explain why you taught her your primitive customs. Deho took a deep breath. This was his moment. Everything depended on what he said next. I met with the princess because she was alone, he said. His voice was calm but strong. She followed me to the gardens because she was curious about Mia, about humans. And I talked to her because she reminded me of myself. The hall was completely silent now. When I was young, Deho continued, I was also lonely. My family was poor. Other children did not want to play with me. I spent many days by myself, wondering if anyone would ever care about me. He paused. Then one day a stranger showed me kindness. He did not know me. He had no reason to help me. But he sat with me, talked to me, and made me feel like I mattered. That moment changed my life. He looked directly at the queen. Your daughter is the princess of the greatest empire in the galaxy. She has everything anyone could ever want. But she has never been hugged. She has never been told that she is loved. She has never felt like she matters, not because of her title, but because of who she is. Theron stepped forward angrily. You dare lecture us on how to raise our children? I dare to tell the truth, Deho said. You asked what humanity has to offer. This is my answer. We offer our hearts. We offer our ability to connect with others, to feel their pain, to share their joy. We offer something that cannot be measured by technology or weapons. We offer love. The crowd stirred. Some looked confused. Others looked angry. But just a few looked thoughtful. Theron laughed coldly. Love. He speaks of love as if it were a weapon. As if it could build ships or win wars. He turned to the assembly. This is exactly why humans cannot be trusted. They are slaves to their emotions. They make decisions based on feelings instead of logic. They are weak. We are not weak, Deho said firmly. We feel pain, yes. We cry when we lose people we care about. We laugh when we are happy. We get angry when we see injustice. But these feelings do not make us weak. They make us human. They connect us to each other. They give us reasons to fight, reasons to live, reasons to hope, Theron sneered. Hope. Another useless word. Hope is never useless. Hope is what keeps us going when everything seems lost. Hope is what makes us reach out to strangers across the stars. Hope is why I am standing here right now, in front of people who hate me, still trying to find a way forward. Theron turned to the Queen. Your Majesty, this is nonsense. I move that we end this discussion and vote immediately. Let us send these humans back to their planet and forget they ever existed. Many nobles shouted their agreement. The vote seemed certain. Humanity would be rejected. Then something unexpected happened. A small figure stood up from her chair beside the throne. No. The single word silenced everything. Princess Vila stepped forward, her small body trembling but her voice clear.
Vila,
"Sit down," the queen said sharply. But Vila did not sit. She walked down the steps from the throne. Her footsteps echoed in the silent hall. Every eye watched her. No one moved. No one breathed. She walked past the shocked nobles. She walked past the frozen guards. She walked all the way across the vast hall until she stood in front of Deho, and then she ran into his arms. The entire palace fell silent. Deho caught her and held her gently. She wrapped her small arms around his neck and buried her face in his shoulder. Her whole body was shaking. "He taught me what love is," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "He showed me that I matter. He made me feel warm for the first time in my life." She turned to face the assembly, tears streaming down her pale blue cheeks. "Why is that wrong? Why is kindness a crime?" No one answered. The silence stretched on and on. Nobles stared in disbelief. Theron's face was twisted with shock and rage. Even the ambassadors from other races seemed moved. And Queen Alara? Queen Alara was frozen on her throne. Her eyes were fixed on her daughter. Her hands gripped the armrest so tightly that her knuckles were white. Something was happening in those purple eyes, something Deho had never seen before. Doubt, pain, and deep beneath it. Longing, Vela looked up at Deho. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was no fear in them anymore. "I'm not scared," she whispered. "You taught me that." Deho held her close. "I know. And I'm so proud of you." High Commander Theron recovered first. "This is outrageous." He shouted, "The human has bewitched the princess." Guards seized him immediately. The guard stepped forward. But before they could reach Deho, another voice rang out. "Stop." It was the queen. She rose from her throne. Her face was unreadable, but her voice shook slightly. "No one will touch this man. Not until I have spoken with my daughter." She descended the steps slowly. The crowd parted before her like water. She walked all the way across the hall, just as Vela had done, and she stopped in front of them both. For a long moment, she simply looked at her daughter. At the tears on her cheeks, at the way she clung to this human stranger, at the look of fierce love in her young eyes. "Vela," the queen said softly, "are you happy?" The princess nodded. "Yes, mother. For the first time in my life, I am happy." The queen closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were glistening. And King Deho realized that he was witnessing something that had never happened before in the history of the Valari Empire. The queen was about to cry. The silence in the Grand Council Hall was absolute. Thousands of Valari watched as their queen stood before a human and a child. Her eyes glistening with tears she had never shed before. High Commander Theron stepped forward. "Your Majesty, this is exactly what I warned you about. The humans have used their emotions like a weapon. They have turned your own daughter against you. We must act now before silence." The word was quiet, but it carried the weight of 10,000 years of royal authority. Theron stopped mid-sentence. His mouth hung open, but no sound came out. Queen Alara knelt down slowly. Her beautiful robes pooled around her on the cold floor. She was now at eye level with her daughter. "Vila," she said softly, "I need you to tell me something." Vela pulled back slightly from Deho's arms, but she kept one hand on his shoulder. "Yes, mother. This feeling you have? This happiness. What does it feel like?" Vila thought for a moment. "It feels warm, like standing in sunlight, like everything heavy has been lifted off my chest." She paused. "It feels like I matter, not because I am a princess, just because I am me." The queen's face trembled. She reached out a hand, hesitated, and then gently touched her daughter's cheek. "I have never touched you like this," she whispered. "In 8 years, I have never held you. I told myself it was for your own good, that it would make you strong, that emotions were dangerous." A single tear rolled down her pale blue cheek. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. And then, for the first time in Vila's life, Queen Alara pulled her daughter into her arms and held her. A gasp swept through the assembly. Some nobles looked away, as if watching something forbidden. Others stared in complete shock. A queen had not shown public emotion in over 1,000 years. This was beyond unprecedented. This was impossible, but it was happening. Vela buried her face in her mother's shoulder and began to sob. Not sad tears, happy ones. Relief and joy and years of loneliness all poured out at once. "I'm sorry," the queen whispered into her daughter's hair. "I'm so sorry, my little one." Deho stepped back, giving them space. His own eyes were wet, but he did not care. He watched the queen and the princess hold each other. He felt a hope so strong it made his chest ache. Finally, the queen stood up. She kept one hand on Vela's shoulder as she turned to face the assembly. Her tears had dried, but her eyes were different now. They were no longer cold. They were filled with something that looked almost like fire. "For 10,000 years," she began, her voice ringing through the hall, "the Valari Empire has called itself the most enlightened civilization in the galaxy. We have conquered worlds. We have built wonders. We have extended our lives for centuries. We have achieved things that other species cannot even imagine." She paused and looked at Deho. "But in all those 10,000 years, not one of us has ever knelt down to help a lonely child. Not one of us has ever given a gift expecting nothing in return. Not one of us has ever taught a princess that she is loved.
Ow.
This man did all of those things. Human. A member of a species we call primitive, emotional, and weak. He came to our empire with nothing but hope in his heart, and he changed my daughter's life forever." High Commander Theron found his voice. "Your Majesty, you cannot be serious. The humans have no technology, no resources. No, they have something better," the Queen interrupted. "They have hearts that can love strangers. They have courage to show kindness, even when they are afraid. They have the ability to see loneliness in others and do something about it." She looked at Theron with cold eyes. "Can you say the same, High Commander?" Theron fell silent. The Queen turned back to the assembly. "I have made my decision. Humanity will be welcomed into the galactic community. They will be given full status as partners of the Valari Empire. And this man," she gestured at Deho, "will be named Imperial Friend, the highest honor our empire can give to an outsider." The hall erupted in noise. Some nobles cheered. Others protested. Theron looked like he wanted to explode. But the Queen raised her hand, and silence fell once more. I know some of you do not understand. I know some of you think I have gone mad, but I ask you to look at my daughter." She placed her hand on Vela's head. "Look at her smile. Look at the light in her eyes. Is this madness? Or is this something we have forgotten how to see?" No one answered, but slowly, one by one, nobles began to bow their heads. It was not quite agreement, but it was acceptance. The vote was held that very hour. Humanity was accepted into the galactic community by a margin of 3-1. It was not unanimous. Many still had doubts, but it was enough. That night, there was a celebration. For the first time in memory, the Valari Palace was filled with music and laughter. Nobles who had never smiled before were seen talking warmly with the human delegation. Even some of the guards seemed more relaxed. Ho found himself on a balcony overlooking the Empire. The stars stretched out before him, countless points of light in the endless dark. Behind him, he could hear the sounds of the party, but out here, it was quiet, peaceful. Footsteps approached. He turned and saw Vela walking toward him, followed by Hannah. "There you are," Hannah said with a smile. "The hero of humanity, hiding from his own party." "I just needed some air," Deho said. Vela came to stand beside him. She looked out at the stars with wonder in her eyes. "Is Earth out there?" she asked. "Yes. Very far away, but yes. Will you go back someday?" Deho was quiet for a moment. "Someday, but I'll come back to visit. I promise," Vela nodded. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. It was a paper crane, a little crumpled, but still beautiful. "I made this for you," she said, "so you won't forget me." Deho took it carefully. "I could never forget you, Vela. Not in a million years." She smiled. Real, bright, happy smile. Then she hugged him one more time. From behind them, Another voice spoke. So this is where you are hiding. It was Queen Ilara. She walked onto the balcony with grace, but there was something different about her now. Something softer. I wanted to thank you, she said to Deho. Not as a queen. Just as a mother, you don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You gave my daughter something I never could. You gave her love. And perhaps you gave me something too. A chance to learn. A chance to change. Deho bowed his head. The Valari are an amazing people. You just forgot something important along the way, but you can remember it again. I believe that. The queen looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she smiled. It was small and uncertain, like she was trying something new for the first time. You really are strange creatures, she said. But perhaps the galaxy needs a little more strangeness. She took Vila's hand. Come, little one. It's late. Even princesses need to sleep. Vila looked back at Deho one more time. Goodbye, Deho. Thank you for teaching me to be warm. Goodbye, Vela. Stay warm. And remember, kindness is always a choice. She nodded, and then she was gone. Hannah came to stand beside Deho. They watched the stars together in silence. So, Hannah said finally, we did it. Humanity is part of the galactic community. All because you were nice to a lonely kid. Deho smiled. Sometimes that's all it takes. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Not of human warships or weapons, but of a single man who knelt to help a lonely child. And somehow, that story changed everything. Because in the end, the strongest force in the universe is not power. It is love.